After a noisy and quarrelsome fuss had been made in the kitchen between members of the wait staff and their menials, putatively on Melody's account, and rapturous apologies had been penitently mumbled by the maitre d', head chef, and proprietor, obliquely towards Melody through Garrett, as if he'd been officially appointed by the shop as their go-between, along with promises made that whosoever was found to be responsible for such an imprudent oversight would be sacked forthwith and held accountable, if need be, in a court of law to make amends therefor. A three-legged high chair was finally brought over for Melody and placed at the head of the table. Not so much designed for intractable tots as for contumacious teens, the high chair was just the right size to accommodate Melody's petite frame, as if it had been specifically engineered and assembled for her sake. The spike-haired hostess, whom Garrett patted affectionately on the shoulder as if they'd been long-time acquaintances, adjusted the seat's height, then strapped Melody securely into the chair to prevent her from falling out of it. No sooner was she settled in the seat than she found her prayer bones directly aligned with the surface of the banquet table. The involuntary awkwardness created by this situation compelled her to sit cross-legged in order to deflect attention from the sumptuous passageways ascending to the mounds of her amusement park and its tenuously sheltered points of enticement, therethrough protecting the whys and wherefores of her maidenly modesty from the telescopic scrutiny of Garrett's persistently inquisitive companions. Without initially consulting his inamorata, Garrett ordered her a half-filled fiasco of Chianti. A server in black was about to hand her a menu when Garrett preemptively motioned it away with a magisterial sweep of his right hand. Speaking in Swiss French to the head waiter, he ordered her a tiny dinner salad with a seeded roll and slice of butter. The dish was served to her instantaneously, long before Garrett had had a chance to taste the wine, whereupon, having done so, he poured her a measure thereof, and placed the fiasco, which had a black, one-eyed rooster on its neck label, directly beside her plate. Melody could not help but remark that none of Garrett's associates had been given menus, nor had they shown the slightest interest in ordering anything to munch on, much less to quaff. They appeared to be perfectly content to puff on their Havanas whilst chit-chatting in their native tongues and conversing in the misty jargons of their professions. A Van Dyke-bearded gentleman, who looked vaguely familiar to Melody, had a cubical bottle of bright red liquid wheeled into him by one of the maitre d's assistants. At first glance, our heroine mistook the receptacle for containing either the grape or, dog forbid, blood. On more circumspect observation, how so, she saw that it actually contained a kind of permanent ink, such as an artiste might use to draw dots, rectangles, curlicues, blobs, stick figures, and such like. The gentleman passed the cruet around to several of his cronies, including Garrett, and, after each and every one of them had carefully perused the liquid's consistency by giving the bottle a measured shake or two, and then sniffing its content, they collectively nodded their unqualified, albeit discreet approval, apropos of what they'd evidently concluded upon observing various particulars appertaining to its serviceability in respect to some ostensibly dark, if not iniquitously diabolic, agenda they preferred to keep under wraps for reasons that will, in retrospect, become glaringly obvious. So unanimous, in fact, was the preponderant feeling of approbation there anent, that more than half the members of the table appeared to be on the precipitous brink of bursting into a bout of triumphant applause. They were held in check, however, by a sharp look from one of the German gentlemen amongst them, a certain Herr Reinhold Dümpf, who was endowed with the tenaciously unrepentant demean of an ex-Nazi, and then some.